Horschel. Ms. Devenish. Mr. Stein.
Here.
Mr. Humberg.
Here.
Mr. Ganser and Mr. Kugel are excused.
Item number 3, approval of the minutes of December 10th, 2014. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second? Is there a second?
Second.
Edits, comments, revisions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Appearances, we have Randy and Patty Smith of 4224 Winnequa would like to speak for informational purposes on the Rubens Restore dumpster locations. You bet. Come on up. Welcome.
Okay, my wife's been in contact with Sonia, and the new dumpsters behind, well, we call it Rubens, I guess it's the Restore now. They're really pretty big, and I believe that there's, I haven't really gone back there and taken a look at the exact purposes, but there's recycling, there's a dumpster, there's, because the Restore's doing the right thing, trying to separate the stuff and do recycling and all of that kind of stuff. But our biggest concerns right now are, it is really big, and from the view from the back, it's, it is unsightly. It's not like, it was ever, there was a dumpster in the corner, and now, that area is expanded. And probably my biggest concerns moving forward would be upkeep of it, which I think, the Restore is going to do a much better job. But it's also the noise that's going to be generated if they just go unlimited hours, if they can, because it is kind of a volunteer-based thing. And I just want to make sure that we're not generating a lot of noise and clatter, on weekends during the summer. So the suggestion moving forward from here is that we talk to Steve.
Han or Han? I'm not sure.
Hi, Steve. Talk to Steve and just try to set up a working agreement so that, ideally we could have good core hours during the day and, preferably not have any activity during the weekend. And that's, so we're going to get together and move, so this is just kind of right now advisory, and then we're going to move to just having some discussions between us. And then if everything goes good, then that'll be great.
Edward, thank you so much.
Sound good?
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to appear on an item that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, we will close the appearance section. Move to unfinished business. Public hearing on request by business owner Laura Godfrey and property owner Kevin Metcalf for a zoning permit for a yoga studio, Joy and Yoga, to operate at 5419 Monona Drive, formerly Pizza Oven Banquet Space. Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. So my name is Kevin Metcalf with Metcalf Brothers Realty. We're the landlord for the property that's in front of you. Laura Godfrey is a tenant, is requesting to be a tenant in our shopping center there. She's Joy of Yoga is the name of her business. It's about a 2,000 square foot retail space on a second story of the building, formerly occupied by Pizza Oven, who used that space as their banquet facility. It's had tenants in the past prior to Pizza Oven as well, when we had tenant down below as well as upstairs. I just requesting your approval tonight, and believe that it's a great fit for the shopping center. As you know, there we have a variety of different tenants there with different hours that use different parking requirements during the day, and we feel that it's a great fit for the shopping center, and that she'll complement the existing tenants as well as the parking arrangement that we've kind of had there between the hours of use for the particular business.
Thank you. Do you want to say anything, or? Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. If you just want to hang there for questions, we'll move on to consideration of action on the request.
This proposal was last reviewed on December 10th. It's a new use in the space which requires approval of a zoning permit. Approval is recommended as outlined in the staff report, including approval of all required massage licenses by the city clerk, removal of the old pizza oven sign on the lower level tenant space facade, and then number 4 was regarding a broken glass door entrance to the tenant space. And talking with Kevin, it sounds like maybe that was just frosted over and I didn't have my glasses on when I was looking at it, so that might not be relevant.
Thank you. Commission members, is there a motion or discussion? Mr. Homburg?
Kevin, you weren't here last meeting. We talked about it briefly. I know you know what I'm going to say. Parking, parking, parking. It's always an issue in that center. You know the history better than I do. Used to be tons of parking. Blockbuster didn't use much parking. A huge square footage, put in industry print. Now we've got Princeton Express, which uses a lot of parking. So it's put a little bit of a push on the center. So the one thing we mentioned in the last one is whatever tenant you come in with for your lower level, it may be a parking issue. We don't know. You're talking 15 to 20 cars in that space, and depending on what the timing is. What's good about this, what I like about it is, if she's in there and operational before you find a tenant, it'll be fun to see where that center is and it starts filling up. But that's one thing we'll look at. You have plenty of parking for her use. It might affect what your lower level is.
Yeah, and I'm aware of that. I saw in the staff comment, I talked to Sonia, and she said that it's not going to be a condition of approval. The only concern I have is says any future use will be limited by the potential parking stalls approved for the yoga studio. And I think, obviously, if we can just agree that when the tenant comes at that time, that we evaluate that tenant based on the current conditions. I think that would require more due diligence on my part, rather than just the hours of operation and things of that nature. I have been paying more or closer attention to the parking that's there now, and feel like it, fortunately, I think with Pizza Oven moving on that side, has actually freed up additional parking on what I consider our property. And the current uses that are there now, I'm not aware of us actually having to overflow onto other people's property at this point in time, and we'll find out.
It's just something that had to be talked about, and I wanted you here when we talked about
I appreciate it.
And I don't believe it's a condition of approval that it will be dependent, but it may. It may depend on who you bring, like always. You know that. If you have a use upstairs that uses 20 stalls, that's 20 stalls that may not be available for the lower level.
I understand.
And I hope she's that successful. I hope she wants to move right into the lower level,
That's
too.
what I'm hoping for.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Is there a motion?
Move approval, condition 1, 2, and 3 is written by staff, and condition 4 that the entrance doors shall be repaired prior to occupancy.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Ember?
I got up, read the broken glass part, but I said entrance door. It looks like there's something that's broken in there, and it's jade. It's not like frost. I don't know what it is. I'm sure you'll want it fixed. I'm sure you'll want it looking nice beforehand. I don't know if it's it could be an applique that was put on the inside or something that was halfway taken off.
That's what it was.
It's
Pizza Oven had
like
frosted the inside of the glass.
Somebody took part of it off and not the rest. But
correct.
You're going to want a nice entrance.
It'll be cleaned up.
Any other comments, discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we move on to 5C. Yes. Consideration of action on request by business owner Laura Godfrey for approval of a wall sign permit for Joy and Yoga at 5419 Monona Drive.
This is a wall sign accompanying a zoning permit request, and therefore plan commission approval is required. There's no official comprehensive signage plan for this building, so the standard specifications in the sign code would apply, including the 6 evaluation factors that the plan commission can use to evaluate it. Staff's recommendation is for approval.
Thank you. Mr. Ember?
I think we've got kind of a potpourri of sign types on this building. We do have a lot of cabinet signs, so I'm not opposed to that. I think it's an attractive sign. I'm glad we have one of our 2 sign people here. The only thing we haven't talked about is the rest of that center is red or white, and I think you were trying to keep to that. This one's orange, so is that okay?
Okay. Any other comments? Sharon?
That's the only thing that I had noted too, is that I believe in previous discussions we were trying to keep things in the red or white. So it'd be nice if this had, instead of the tan green color, maybe if I could go red, but prefer to the majority.
Thank you. Sonia, you had something from Commissioner Ganzer?
A couple of comments from Dale Ganzer, who's absent. He says, as you know, I don't like to keep doing the same ugly thing just because that's how it's been done. He believes that the red channel letter is the most generic, unimaginative retail sign available, and that this sign will be one of the nicest on Monona Drive.
I wasn't sure where that was going when it started.
Ron?
I like the sign. I think it's doesn't stand out any more than the yellow from the cousin subs. I think the logo is really well done, and personally, I think it looks good.
Commissioner Torschel?
Well, I think the basic letters are, the biggest letters are in white, and so I don't have too much of a problem with the orange.
Alder Holmquist?
I like the sign as it is.
Is there a motion?
Move approval. Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Wow, 2 for 2.
Good luck.
Thank you. Good job.
Our game started soon. No.
Oh, thank you. Unfinished business, D, consideration of action on request by Habitat Restore for approval of a comprehensive signage package for 4207 Monona Drive. Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
Good. This item was tabled. Is there a motion to remove it from the table?
Move to pull it off the table.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Do we need a roll call or just? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Good evening again.
Yeah, just bear with me for a second while we get the display here up and running. My name is Jim Witter, represent James Witter Architects, and I am representing the Habitat for Humanity Restore project. And we are, I wasn't able to make it to the first meeting, but I have read all your comments, and we've taken them very seriously. I think they're good comments, and I think they've helped contribute to a better package that we're going to present today here. We went back to the drawing board because we felt that the signs could be improved, and I think the comments that were offered were valid, and I'm going to go through each sign and talk about how we responded to your concerns. And I just need to get this to display with. And by the way, we'd like to believe that our signs will be the most beautiful on Monona. So, I mean,
Sent in as a
yes.
comment.
Yeah. So,
I have an email.
I might need your technical consultant in there to come out and help make this display on one of these screens. Okay, well, while he's doing that, we're going to talk about all 4 signs. I understand that the donation sign, which was a building designation sign, was approved or had no comments in opposition of that particular sign, but that the other 3 signs, the marquee east side building sign and the north side building sign, were the 2 most kind of important pieces of this package. And we hope that we can actually display here.
We can do it on the overhead too if it doesn't work.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is an electronic copy here.
I have
Or do you have
We have it
that?
in our
Yeah.
packets.
Okay,
can just- you
I
just put on
actually
the
did a
overhead.
kind of a summary of each of the signs. So how are we doing here?
We seem to be.
Okay, well, that's hard. Just a second here. It'd be hard to describe the summary, but you do have the signs in front of you. And
I just put our projector on, we can put them up there.
I
You can
spent a lot of time
point to that.
working on this little presentation, so it's kind of unfortunate that we encountered these. Yeah, it really is. But in any case, is this going to show up
No,
here?
no, yeah, it's on. He just has to switch it in there over to the overhead.
All right. If he could get it.
There we go, there we go. You're
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
We'll zoom in and out how you need it.
Yeah. So I brought some material examples for the signage that we're doing. These are actually full size and the actual materials, and I can pass them around if you're interested.
I think we should pass those around.
How
No,
about
I'm kidding,
the
I'm
Zoom?
kidding, I'm
The
kidding.
Zoom?
Go.
Okay. So, rather than, the sign that was presented last time was a similar idea, but it was placed in parallel to the curtain wall. And that just didn't read well, both because of the backlighting, the varying field behind it, and the fact that it could only be read kind of straight on. So I think this part of Monona Drive really calls out for something stronger, a better sign that is in keeping with the 1960s architecture that this building is, and it's really a remarkable, piece of architecture, and there are not a lot of these kind of express structural buildings left in, or at least a lot are not being done anymore that have this integrated structural form. So because of the arch shape, we also felt that the Rubin sign was a good starting point for how to transform that sign. One of the objections that the client had in their corporate logo standards is that they wanted the sign to be right reading from both directions. So we took an approach of putting a translucent plexiglass panel between the two pieces that will be an edge lit by LEDs so that it essentially will glow between those two aluminum sandwich panels. It's a soft light, and it is really a glowing. It's not a kind of like a neon. It's more subtle and it's more uniform. So that what I call a district sign. This is a sign that can be read from the turn going southbound or coming over the hill going northbound. And I think it fills in kind of a gap there where there really are no signs representing that corner there. So that's the marquee sign. I think it's probably the most important sign that we have, and we feel it's going to be a really nice contribution to the experience of driving down Monona Drive. Then moving on to the monument sign, which is really not changed much from the original presentation. But the comments that were made are the two posts were, kind of tacky looking, the two 3-inch diameter pipe columns. And this is an opportunity for the building material to kind of come out to the street. And so we are now going to do a masonry base using this material, which matches the building brick. And then putting a cap on top of that of a limestone that kind of matches some of your corner stone monuments. And The sign is exactly the same size as presented last time. We also responded to the desire that it not be a glaring white, so we are going to add a diffuser in that lens so that we get a softer white light that's more uniform. Then also there was a comment regarding landscaping and what sorts of plants we were considering there. And we're showing some low juniper bushes and some dwarf, pampas grass, or I've kind of forgotten the name.
Foster, I think.
Yeah, Carl, okay. And so it's very much in keeping with the your stone monuments on the corners and other signage that's up and down the drive. The other thing I like is because we're in a moraine, kind of kettle moraine area, is to put one or two, beautiful glacial till boulders as a part of the landscape element. Because honestly, if you dig around here, you're going to hit one or two of those. And so the thought is to, say 12 to 18 inch boulders that kind of form an accent along with the plantings. And so the important thing, and I'm sorry this presentation did not come up because I talked about the symbolic concept of a cutout sign out at the marquee, and that the letters then are reused at the front door. So we're essentially reusing parts. So I'll move on to that. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if we can. Yeah. Well. Okay. Again, I had such a nice presentation.
You can see it.
So the idea was to take the cutouts from that negative cutout of the front sign and then use these signs, but instead of putting them on a bronze plaque that kind of looks like a piece of plywood, we decided it would be better to do what's very much in keeping with this architecture, which is to do raised letters off of the brick facade. So you can kind of get an idea of what that looks like with this, behind there. It's that's the scale of the lettering. So it's fairly large scale, and we feel it actually helps mark the entry to the building because that is the customer service entry right there. So then, so those two signs are kind of coupled. They have kind of a double entendre. They read restore, but they also talk about reuse. So we use the cutout as a part of this other sign. And then finally, I think the donation sign, there wasn't a lot of discussion about that, and I honestly, it's in my presentation, but I don't have it in this packet here. So, no. It was my understanding that that sign was accepted as it was shown. We did reduce the size.
We didn't accept it. We didn't have any comments.
Okay, it was tabled. I also brought along a sample, in case you're interested, of the translucent. I don't know if you want to dim the lights, you could actually see this. This concept of edge lighting plexiglass creates a very nice soft light. And I brought a sample of the plexiglass we're using, and in darkness you can actually see the glow. I don't know if anyone's interested. But this is the color of the plexiglass we're planning to put between the two aluminum panels. And then that will be hung from the soffit of the arch and then stabilized against the curtain wall. So those are the three signs, the update and the response to your comments. And then the donation sign is still a raised aluminum letter, but it's been reduced to 6 inches because it's kind of crowded on top of the garage door there. So I'm happy to take any questions you have and hope that you feel that we took your comments seriously and we came up with some good solutions and addressed them.
Thank you, Jim. If you want to stay there for a minute or two, and Sonia, any updates from
Approval is recommended as outlined in the staff report with a couple of findings of fact. One about the second line of text on the ground sign that considered a identification of the purpose of the business and not a tagline or advertisement, and a second finding of fact that is regarding the special exception that's necessary to approve a second wall sign, and then conditions of approval including diffuser panel on the ground sign and landscaping requirements in spring.
Thank you. Commission members? Kramer?
Well, first, I think you've done a fabulous job of responding to the comments. I think this is just night and day from the last sign package, and I think it really fits the architecture of the building. I like it a lot. I like everything you did about the blue panel in between with a real soft light. I think the whole package looks really good. I have a question for staff. If my memory serves me correctly, when Ruben created that parcel for the medicine shop, I don't believe it included that back driveway. I believe the back driveway stayed with the Rubens parcel, in which case this building does front on 2 streets, so I don't believe we need to make a special exception for that. Because I'm pretty sure that this property fronts also on Winnequa Road, but I don't know if you remember, Jim or Sharon, Griff, but I believe they carved out that parcel and they gave themselves an access easement off of Winnequa, but Ruben was sharp and he kept the access to the main property. It's part of that parcel.
I don't remember whether it was an easement or a fee or whatever.
I'm pretty sure I asked him about that.
There is access.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I asked him. I think they have ownership to Winnequa Road, in which case there's no doubt that they front on 2 streets.
In any event, they have access,
Yeah.
so I think they do front on both streets.
So I don't think this is an exception to allow them to have 2 signs. I guess is where I'm going with that. And then my other question was,
We can approve it as a sign package anyway.
right. My other question is really more for Bob, if that landscaping looks good. I'm not familiar with that grass. I was worried that grass would grow up into the sign.
As is, you'd probably want to restructure the landscape plan because that will block.
That's what I thought.
Carl Forster will get.
That'd be more of an edge planting and
Edge
the lower
plant to
things
kind
in
of
between.
frame it. is
Yes.
what
Yeah,
we're
I think
thinking.
if you put like a low perennial in that spot, and I think if the additions of the boulders is great, I would go a little bit bigger than
Okay.
12 inches or 18 inches because that'll kind of get lost in. But I think the plant selection is fine.
Anything else, Rob?
No, I think the sign looks way better, and I like what you're doing with the reuse of the cutout letters on the other side. It creates kind of a cohesive signage package, which I appreciate, and I really appreciate all the illustrations you've provided this go
I'll
around.
send you this presentation. Because
Slideshow?
I was so happy with it. But,
I'm sorry that didn't work.
Yeah, it's
but
something,
but other than the landscape, and that's more configuration, I would say it looks really great.
Thank you.
The Holmquist?
Overall, I like the changes of the plan. The piece I'm still struggling with is the marquee sign. I appreciate the pointing out the architectural significance of this building and the archway and the use of signage on a front wall like this is usually not on the glass at all. If you look at the signage of these type of buildings, there wouldn't be a sign attached there. It'd be either using a ground landscape sign there, or it would be people know that location because they know it. They don't need the sign to bring them there. Having the sign on the side, I know the difficulty of this position and probably going through how do we place this. I don't see the value of this sign compared to the north side wall sign and the monument sign. I see as the 2 most important signs to identify this building. I don't know what type of sign on that front I would think fits there. I don't think a sign fits there at all.
I would say that the building is a sign. And as an architect, I always feel, but what is it is a question. And the beautiful curtain wall that shows everything inside, but I think the logo of Restore is an important part of our presentation as a retail store. And the idea that you can see it from, as you turn the corner, you can see it at the distance. Signage does play a good role in helping people find where they're going. So, you know, I respect your opinion on that. I tend to feel that signage in itself is a graphic element that can have beauty and can also be in keeping with the architecture. And so aluminum was the choice because we wanted to go with the curtain wall, which is also a mill finished aluminum.
Sharon?
Yeah, I have a couple comments, I guess. I don't agree with what Brian just said there. I think it's important that the front of the building have some signage on it. I think there's other ways that it could be done. I don't know that there's anything wrong with what he's done there. I actually feel the sign would show up a lot better if it was a colored sign, and you know, if the colors were reversed somehow, because the front of that building is pretty blah, and to me it could use some color, and that's what would catch the eye. But I'm fine with what you've done if that's what you want to do. I think the ground sign is greatly improved. I'm glad that it was noted about the landscape, the reed grass, because I had the same comment, because the base is only 15, 16 inches tall, so I'm glad that we'll change that. The sign that I have a problem with is the one on the north facade. So unless
I'll go there now.
truly frontage,
I'm quite sure of that.
then I'll be quiet about it, but I see no need for that sign. I look at the site plan and I think we've got a projecting sign coming out from the front of the building. We've got a landscape sign right there. This sign's being put back a ways from the entry. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And again, I drive past this building at least twice a day and I don't look there. So I will look at the other two signs, and those make logical sense to me. So unless it is part of that, I'm not in favor of that particular area. I just don't think it's an area to focus on myself. So I think you could do better by putting some lettering on the doors if you're worried about where to come in. But once you pull in and park, it's very obvious on where you enter the building. So that's my 2 cents.
We do want to reuse the letters because that's the mission of the Restore. That's the one reason we have the 2 types of signs. And that I think Valerie put in the letter regarding the variance to allow 2 faces sign.
Rick?
Well, I guess I do feel that the fronts on 2 streets, so that the second sign from the sign by the north facade is acceptable, and I'm fine to approve that.
And Sonia from Mr. Ganser.
Dale Ganser says all 3 signs are much better. There is a graphic standard regarding how to run words vertically, and the correct way is how the Restore is doing it rather than how Rubens did it. He says the super graphic is how I would do the front sign and eliminate the ground sign and the banner, but it appears they don't want to look at that. For the most part, what they have here is okay.
That being said, is there any further discussion or a motion? Remember.
Move approval with the finding of fact as written by staff, but add into number 2 that it actually fronts also on Winnequa Road. And condition 1 is written by staff, but add in our standard condition that it may be required to be modified if the plan commission determines the glare is excessive. That's the condition about the diffuser panel. And condition 2, that the landscape plan shall be modified as discussed with final approval by staff and planted by May 1st, 2015, weather permitting.
Okay. Sir?
Oh, a second. I need a second first. I need a second before I can talk about it.
Second.
Okay. I added the may be required to be modified. You're saying you put a diffuser in, we're good with that, but I think I explained at the last meeting, you weren't here, we've had some white signs on Monona Drive that are very, very bright, and they were an issue, they were way too bright, and it was a traffic hazard.
Traffic hazard,
So
yeah.
if it comes in there, and your diffuser, what you think is a diffuser really isn't adequate for what most of the traffic feels, we have the authority to come back and say, you gotta put a little bit more of a diffuser in there.
Yeah, and
We don't want your sign
soften
not
the
to
light.
show up, but we don't want it to be a beacon on Monona Drive.
And we don't either. In fact, we want the marquee sign to be the, the cool new sign on Monona Drive.
Understood.
That's because, the Restore, I don't know if you've been over there, but the parking lot is full. This has been a great move for them. We're, happy to be in Monona, and I think it's serving, I think it's going to continue to grow, and so this signage will help us.
And I left the landscaping plan approved by staff, but Commissioner Stein's comments are very valid. They read the grasses on the side, some of the lower stuff in the middle, and some perennials or annuals or something for
Yep.
color. Below the sign, we've got that short base, that really just makes your sign pop.
Yep.
So you can go over that with Sonia, she knows what we're looking at, and she can prove that.
And you can see that we also brought the sign right down on top of the monument, and so it reads as one object.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Congrats, thank you.
Hey, I finally got the presentation.
Yeah, nice to
I don't give up easily.
We'll give you, you just zip through there and show us.
I just received an email, I can't over the attachment, I think I'm gonna answer it, from Valerie. But we're going to park at that, at the drug store area. You can't enter on the side street, you have to drive through our parking lot to get to the front. So I do believe we have access.
Yeah.
Well, I know you have access. I think you actually own the frontage.
Well,
That's the difference.
Rubens does.
Or Rubens, yeah, that site owns the frontage.
I would have that answer for you if
Thank you very
Congrats
much.
and welcome to Monona. Moving on to 5E, public hearing on request by City of Monona Public Works Director for revisions to a zoning permit for a new cold storage garage at 851 Femrite Drive, originally approved August 25th, 2011. Fine.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to explain our project and request your approval. I guess once we get to the consideration of action, I'll ask Shannon to come up and help explain some of the answers that to the questions I'm sure you guys will have. But I guess to start out, this came before the Planning Commission in 2008, and it did receive your approval then. We never built the building. I'm not sure why, but I'm back here tonight getting your approval. To explain a little bit, we're seeking a 6,700 square foot, approximately, cold storage building to house our equipment. We have 4 trucks that have a value of around $600,000 that we want to put in this building. There'll be a spot reserved for the police impound inside this building as well, secure area. We're going to have 5 garage doors on this building. It's a difference from the 2 that you've seen in 2008. We want to maximize our space, plain and simple. We plan to have 3 service doors, not the 2 that I indicated in my letter to you. We want to have a separate service door for the police impound area, and then 2 service doors for our garage. It'll be a pre-painted galvanized steel structure, the main color to match our current color on our garage. And we're going to go with the dark brown trim color for the roof, and then as well as the lower front portion, 4 feet on the front side. I believe we accounted for the landscaping concerns that 2008 Planning Commission had. I did see that they had junipers requested. We'll make that change, no problem. We've also eliminated the storm water pipe modifications that was in the 2008 plan. We repositioned the building, and we don't have the need to make those modifications. So, I guess in a nutshell, for me, it's the structure itself is pretty straightforward. It's a metal storage garage. It's not going to be heated. There's no requirements for sprinklers. It's less than 7,000 square feet. We made sure of that. Keep our costs in check. but it's going to come in real handy. It's going to get our vehicles out of the elements and help protect those trucks. So that's pretty much it for the explanation.
Thank you. Close the public hearing, move on to consideration of action. So,
As Dan mentioned, this was previously approved in 2008, and it's here because modifications to the location of the garage, as well as the original approval required return to Plan Commission for landscaping details. So that's why it's here. There's also a review by Darren Pope, the consulting engineer, because land disturbance exceeds 3,000 square feet and requires stormwater and erosion control permits. So his review is included, but the revisions requested were minor. Approval's recommended.
thank you. Commission members? Schomburg?
I suspect from what you said, you read the approval from 2008 in the discussion.
Yeah.
One thing we talked about then, when you had your project, we don't have an overhead, do we? Can we get overhead?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we're gonna change it, right? Getting close. They don't like it when we punch the button, but we can try it there. Something's happening.
We're going right back. Yeah.
Well, we can just describe it. We had a long protracted discussion last time because our public works garage area is probably not to the standard that we make all our business applicants go to. So what we talked about is during this project, I love, having some screening in the back, because when you go back in Tuttle's parking lot, it's not that attractive.
Right.
In fact, it's
It's an eyesore.
It is. And so that helps. And then the other thing we talked about is if we could do a little bit of work on the frontage. Your plan, oh, there we go, we have it. Your plan actually shows plantings here. There might be one bush that was planted. Some was just crud that grew up from the fence line where it got too tight and didn't get trimmed. These pines look beautiful along there. I don't know if we could continue, have one of them here and a little stuff, or just something so.
Right.
Just take the eye away from the yard and get people to look
Right.
at the landscaping instead of the yard. And it's also the type of thing we would ask a business to do if they came in here.
Right.
Is just fix it up a little bit, because there's some businesses that are kind of building that area up a little bit. Right now, we as a city are probably the lowest common denominator there.
I don't see that as one problem at all. We can easily add, I don't know if Rob, we also work with Rob as well, past few years, but we can add a row of junipers here. We can add some here on the backside of the bins to help shield that entire yard from the street view. That's not a problem.
Something like that would be
Yeah.
great. And the junipers were a recommendation because Jane, felt they were hardier than the arborvitae. I don't know between the species. I don't pretend to know.
Wow.
I think an evergreen screening of some sort back there is nice if it'll last, because it's year round, and it would be nice for Tuttle.
And we do have the space. Not
Yes,
a big issue.
we do. But what the species doesn't matter to me. That was a recommendation from a
Yeah,
different
I don't know.
commissioner.
Arbs usually,
They're usually pretty tough.
there's pest concerns with arborvitae, rabbits, and I don't know if
These are
there
gonna be
anything gets
bigger than
back there.
rabbit size, aren't they?
Yeah, we want to get above the fence, obviously.
Yeah.
So we'll try,
Right.
we'll go with whatever is recommended. Not a problem.
Rob, what would you, between the arborvitae, the juniper, is there another option?
I would go with arborvitae or juniper. Either something like a mountain or an Iowa juniper, or if you went with an arborvitae, probably a Techni. They seem to be the hardiest, lowest maintenance. They get pretty broad and
We'll consult with our landscaper on that, on how we should do that.
I think other than that, this building helps. Number one, getting the equipment inside lasts longer. It's just better. It's treated better, it lasts longer, but it helps clean up the yard too. It
Right.
lets you organize your yard and get things where they belong, and it helps, frankly, it helps screen a little bit.
Right.
So I'm very much in favor of the building.
I included an aerial shot. I think it made it in the packet. So you get an idea of what we all have in the back of our yard. probably 90% of what you see there, I can pull mine up here, Chris. Probably 90% of what you see, I'm sorry, through here, this is where the current vehicles are parked. There's actually one more that's back there. All this stuff here, we're thinning out, we're recycling what we can, we're going to keep what we can, but the idea is to put that stuff in the garage. We want to put a racking system inside the garage, get that out of the yard. So pretty much all that's going to be out in the yard is our debris piles, our sand piles, things that are supposed to be outside.
When you do have miscellaneous debris, this is a nice place to pile because you've got a solid board fence.
Right.
So no one can see it, and I think that's why in the past it's been piled there.
Yep.
Here is where it's open chain link to Tuttle, and that's a nice place to try to
Yep.
put the plantings and keep it looking a little cleaner for them.
In the back of the garage, we'll face the east. We'll have plantings along our backside on our side of the fence. We'll definitely do what we can to make it appealing to our neighbors. Not a problem.
And as far as your change in orientation, I like this better because now you've got your doors on the west, you got some sun helping you. Before with your doors on the north, with a metal building with a metal roof, that snow always slides off and you get those ice dams right in front of the doors, and they're terrible. And at least being on the west, you get some sun loosening it up for you. It's easier to keep it clean. So I think it's a good change as far as switch to the building.
Right.
Commission members, any other comments, discussion? Is there a motion?
Move approval with conditions as recommended by staff and add on the revised landscaping as discussed and approved by staff.
Second.
Right. Can I change that to additional landscaping as discussed and approved by staff versus revised?
Second, okay with that? Yep, that's the way it was heard. Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You might make kickoff. Moving on to 6, new business. None? None. 7, miscellaneous business. Report on comprehensive plan progress and review of intergovernmental cooperation element.
We want to start with the intergovernmental cooperation element. There aren't a whole lot of changes from the 2004 version, reduced 3 pages and updated for 2010 data and some other information. Any questions or discussion?
Brian?
The only one comment I had was on page 3 underneath 7.6. Do we actually want to put a dollar value for that sentence? It seems like that sentence could just be taken out.
Yeah, it's probably.
Yep. Other than that, I thought it was nice, straightforward, the easiest chapter to read.
On 7.9 goals, got a question, the very last one, work with City of Madison to create and maintain urban design and sign standards for Monona Drive. Are we doing that now?
I guess open for interpretation. It's probably done unless the commission feels we're planning to work more cooperatively for the Madison side or.
It's not done. That's always been a goal, and we would love to have coordinated standards on Monona Drive. Madison has different sign code. They allow a lot of different signs. They allow pylon signs. I mean, there's a lot of differences. And we were hoping, we wrote this the first time, that by the time we finished our Monona Drive design guidelines, that somehow, I'm not sure how it'll happen politically, we could get Madison to kind of look at that and maybe go along a little bit. Sharon's laughing at me because it might never happen. But I think it's a great goal to have in there because it would be nice if we could get Monona Drive. We've invested so much money in Monona Drive. It looks so good. It'd be nice if it looks like all one corridor versus, oh, you're in Madison, you're in Monona. So I think it's a worthy goal. And no, we haven't done it, but it would be something that'll take more clout than this commission has.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we haven't done it completely, but Madison did cooperate with us at some of those street signs.
Oh, absolutely,
with that,
absolutely.
Which has, I think, really enhances the look of the drive. So I think it's an ongoing goal, and we ought to continue to include it.
I think a major win was that oil recycling by the golf course.
Yes.
They converted that into the stone. It was awesome. Any other comments on this? Otherwise, we've got another handout. Sonia, you want to go through that?
First, just an update on the items that remain now that the intergovernmental cooperation is done. We have housing, implementation, and a community facilities element, so there are 3 left. We'll get to those over the next couple of months. The next thing I wanted to talk about was kind of an update on where we are with public participation procedures and just get your feelings on if we're on track with that or open it for discussion if we need anything additional. So just to walk you through the handouts, the first page is what we all agreed were the public participation procedures we would follow. One, sources of information is just the website that we have available. 2 is public work sessions, which is what happens at Plan Commission meetings just like this. Number 3 is the survey, which I'll talk about in a minute. Number 4 was the public informational input meetings. We thought 1 or more would be good. We did hold the open house in November, and there were about 20-25 chairs filled there. Granted, a lot of those were sustainability committee members, but we did get some feedback, and I had some good conversations with the people from the public that attended. The feedback from the open house is on the 3rd page of the handout, and we did a presentation. I gave one on the comprehensive plan, and Shannon Hayden gave one on the sustainability plan. And then I had a blue card and a yellow card as listed on the handout with questions, and Shannon's card was the green card for the sustainability plan. The 5th procedure is the comment period, so that is when we get done with the entire plan, the Plan Commission will review the draft and publish the draft, and then there will be 30 days required by the statute in which the public can comment before we get to the formal presentation to the public, which will be at a city council meeting. Any questions or discussion, requests for more public input opportunities, any ideas? Okay.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
That's good.
It's a good thing, okay.
Okay, the second page, we've had the survey done for a while now, but it was discussed that we might do some paper copy mailings. So I went through the math and figured out what that would look like for 3 different options, doing just an online survey, a postcard with a link to the online survey, or actually mailing the 3-page hard copy survey with a return stamp. Online is free and would save a lot of staff time with tabulating the data. I think there are a number of ways that we could adequately advertise it. Those are listed in the highlighted yellow section. A postcard would cost about $1,000, and a hard copy mailing would be $3,000 for the mailing plus additional printing. My preference is the online survey. I think we could maybe even get a higher response rate with the online survey, and budgeting issues with the hard copy mailings, we would have to probably seek out donations.
I like the online survey as far as giving notice to go online. Is there any way you could dovetail notification with, say, a water bill?
That would be nice.
Get the water bill and there's something along with it?
So water bills go out quarterly, is that correct?
Right now.
So that
Have they
would,
gone out already, or?
Yeah, recently, I just got one.
Just got
So
one.
the next one,
But I don't think they go out all at the same time.
right, I think, yeah, we did explore that
Yeah.
option, and that was the issue, is I don't know how many go with each mailing.
Right.
Another thing that's written in the yellow section is that there will be a spring newsletter in mid-March, and that is mailed to every household in Monona. Planning department usually gets a page in there, and I could explain that you can access the link online, and we would just have to wait till March to make it available.
when's the radio station come online?
I don't know.
Obviously, though, that would be an opportunity to get the word out. I like the online. I don't have a problem with a postcard, a reminder to direct people to go there to do it. But there's other ways. I don't know. Other members, Brian, any feelings one way or the other?
I'm fine with online and all the other various ways that we get information out. I think folks that don't use online or the website, there are other opportunities that we can dovetail with that will capture
We will have hard copies available at the senior center, library, city hall, and then we would manually insert the data into the online survey. And we could also include in the advertisements that you can call City Hall if you'd like a paper copy mailed to you.
When we did the strategic plan survey, do you know off the top of your head how many respondents?
Yeah, 568 responses.
Do we know, and that had no other way of getting the word out besides the things you've identified?
Right.
Is there a way when we do the survey that it can be somehow uniquely tied so we can limit the number of responses Commissioner Hamburg fills out? Yeah.
Why would you want to do that?
I had to pick someone, so I'm like, to at least maybe it captures something to get rid of duplicate potential.
I actually agree with that, because I think we get such a horrendous return rate, or a small sampling of people. It's just so easily skewed. I'm shocked. I'm saddened that we get 11% response when we send it all out. I think it's sad, and this is not an exciting issue. Most people won't do it. They'll talk about it when it affects them a year or 2 or 5 from now, but they won't come to this meeting and they won't talk about it now. And I am saddened by that, but I agree that it would be nice. We have skewed results to begin with. They're skewed by a minority, and I don't want that to be ballooned.
So if there's a way that it can be
Yeah.
tracked to at least the IP address or
I
something.
feel like the survey software that they were using tracked the IP address and limited one response per computer.
At least narrows it down some.
Yeah.
Well,
and then
there's not much more you can do.
Yep.
But
just-
I believe most survey softwares can do that if you ask them.
and just
I like all of your ideas, and I like the fact that you would have it available. I put in the newsletter that if you'd like a hard copy mailed, please call City Hall, we'll mail you one.
Okay.
Go to Senior Center, go to City Hall, go, all these places, because there's some people that aren't comfortable going online. They don't want to fill one on the line. They don't like online telling them that you didn't answer every question, you can't keep going. I don't want to answer that question. There's idiosyncrasies where some people just like the paper. So I like the fact that we make the paper available and don't make it hard for them. If we mail them one out, if somebody makes the effort to call City Hall for a survey, mail it out with a return stamp.
right.
Make it easy for them.
In hindsight, sending out the tax bill would have been a good way to get the word out.
Is there any impetus we can ever give people to try to get them to sign up? I mean, would there be a dinner for 2 or tickets to something, or, some,
It's like a raffle.
it wouldn't do anything for me necessarily, but, a chance to win by answering the survey or something, I don't know, but
Well,
it's the
no,
same
I-
thing. I'm always incredibly depressed by how many
A few.
little responses that we get.
Pool
on
pass.
these, and
Well,
it's-
if I've been there at your house.
it's possible,
What a season
but
pool pass.
I don't think.
How would that work, like the 10th respondent?
No, you put into a weekly or daily drawing, if you respond and then you draw, and you
I
at least
could,
have a
see that
chance.
working, but you'd have to provide your name,
Yeah.
which some people might not want to do.
Right.
But that could be a separate screen that you enter when after you hit submit, then it pops up and you enter that in so it doesn't tie.
But I think there's a network of people who are on commissions and whatever, and every opportunity we have to reinforce, tell your friends, your neighbors to get involved and to do it, and to at council meetings to let folks know that they got to get involved to do it.
We use social media. I think asked the mayor to put it on his Facebook. I think other
The police
city
department
things.
Twitter account,
Right.
a lot of people sign up for
LinkedIn,
that.
next door, Monona.
Right, I think we just got to.
Chamber of Commerce,
Right.
Chamber
yep.
of Commerce, yeah.
all the businessmen, there's a lot of avenues to get it out. They all have social media sites now.
How about the Plan Commission's fast TV audience?
I don't know if she watching tonight.
People out there watching now. Doesn't. Any other, anything else, Sonia, on this that,
That's it.
staff report regarding status of development project proposals, Sonia?
Next meeting is January 26th. Final plans for the multi-tenant commercial building in front of the American. Those plans are posted online if you want to get a head start and look at them. We're also expecting Schluter Park plans for a shelter and site plans and a park and open space plan from the Parks Department. And I believe that's all I have at this time.
Okay. 7C, Planning Commission request for information concerning development projects. Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Bob?
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.